Hey visionaries, Chris right here with Royal Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty. Buying and selling a home can be a stressful process, but we are here to help you throughout the way. Feel free to reach out to us on all social media platforms at Royal Realty Group TX. Now enjoy the show with Cuff and Mo.
Winning at your 9 to 5 affords you the ability to have your dream come into reality. And so for me, I get frustrated when things slow down or interrupt the progress that I'm having or that I need to make or whatever the situation is. And so I've been deep into a lot of reflection of late. You know, what can I do to be better, be a better person, be a better father, be a better husband, be a better employee, be a better investor. Like, I'm constantly like probing myself to figure out what do I need to do next? What should I be doing? What do I need to eliminate? You know, and I think it's not that it's a bad exercise, but I think sometimes you just have to just pause and just let the dust settle a little bit, and then drive it back into the next gear. So I don't know, man. I just think it's a little fatigue.
So you're in that space. I'm in this space where, we've talked to so many people about making the leap or making the jump. Like, ultimately, if there's something you really, really want to do, there's going to come a point in time where you just got to go.
Yeah.
And I am fastly approaching said time. Like, I don't know. It could very well be tomorrow. It might be in a couple days, but I know for a fact, like, it's coming. Like you can see it. Like, if this is a horror movie, like, Jason's around the corner. But I know, like, it's not a horror movie in the sense of, like, I'm not afraid of what's around the corner. It's more of like, okay, exactly, like, how exactly is this about to play out? Because I know what needs to be done.
So I'm very curious then, especially since you're in the midst of it, right? Have you been setting yourself up? Because, a lot of people that listen to the show are fans because they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to get out of their 9 to 5, pursue their passion, etc. Have you leveraged your time over the last X amount of time to put yourself, your family in a position where the bills won't be an issue? Because that's what ultimately holds people back, right? Like, hey, I don't have 6 months worth of savings, or I don't have a year's money stacked up for, the day-to-day operations of my life.
That is probably the only thing missing, and I'm not far off. I got a couple things in the works. Like, truthfully, Cuff, like, I could wake up on Friday and all that be taken care of. Literally, like, I got irons on the fire everywhere, and literally I could probably wake up on Friday or a week from today. But yeah, I could probably wake up a week from today, and that all be taken care of. But as far as the connection part of what I got my hands into, I'm good as gold with that. I'm good as gold with inventory. I mean, that's the missing piece. Excuse me. And I don't even know at this point, like, if it's a missing piece. It's almost sometimes it's a part where you just gotta trust in your creator to know that, because nothing is there's never anything that's just absolutely perfect 100%, right?
Right.
Like, we've had to build a car as we paved the road. Sometimes you got to build a parachute on the way down. And so that, when you really take a step back and look at that's probably like and I say a small missing piece in the sense of, because I know what I've got working, and I know that I've taken a tremendous amount of steps. I've done a ton of leg work, a lot of sleepless nights to make sure that that part is taken care of to the best of my ability in regard to the part that I play in some of these processes, if you will. And so I know that, like, time is coming up, and I'm excited about it. It's the cool thing about it. Some people are, like, nervous about it. I'm not nervous about it. I'm excited about it. I'm not fearful about it. I'm looking forward to it. Like, I had a call on the way down here to the shop today, and the guy was like, you and I need to work together. Like, I hadn't met the man in person yet. Obviously, we're in a digital age, and everyone works off of phones and stuff. But he was like, okay, you know him, and you know him. Like, the fact that you work with them, that means you're good with me. And he and I just start talking. He's like, you and I need to work together. He's like, let's set something up. And so I've done that on so many levels to where, I mean, you know me, I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. And so I'm not worried about people talk about your network and connect. I'm not really worried about that right now. Like, I feel I'm on really, really solid ground when it comes to that. And I got a lot of stuff cooking to where, like, very well, like, in the next week to 10 days, everything that you and I have talked about, like, it could very much be a reality, like, quick. So I'm thoroughly excited about it. Like I said, I told you before, my spirit is full because now, you log on to work, people start talking, and you look at it, and sometimes you come to a point where you're like, I'm not meant to do this.
Right.
It's not the fact that I'm not good at it. It's not the fact that I don't apply myself. It's not the fact that I'm a bad. No. Like, you just come to a realization, like, I'm not meant to do this. Like, I'm meant to do more. I'm meant to do something else.
Yeah.
My skill set is best used doing something else that is greater than this. My skill set is best used in this arena, not in the one that I'm currently in. And, I've had plenty of conversations with myself, like, okay, you did this great, but this part got messed up. Like, okay, take a step back. As you say, watch the film. And then you really look at it, and sometimes, like, Coach, he did everything he possibly could do. Sometimes the other guy just makes a play, And so it's like, well, he did everything he was coached to do. He followed the game plan to the T. But, in this case, Coach, he had to block Aaron Donald. And it is what it is.
Right.
And so I'm excited about what's about to happen in my life. I really, really am.
So let's rewind, because you're in the middle, and I think middle of this, and I think this is really good for people that have followed the show and follow us. Obviously, you have your hands in a number of things, but when people start to leave their corporate setting and their corporate jobs to pursue their passion, what advice can you give them? Because I think the biggest fear that most people have is, am I set up for the next 6 to 12 months to where I don't have to worry about that? And that's something that you said that you're working through, building the parachute on the way down. But what's a pragmatic solution or way, or how should people go about doing this?
First thing is, it's a show about mindset. First thing is, you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Good. Yeah.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. There is no 100%. Let me take that back. We as people, we do our best to create the 100% fail-safe, fail-safe situation where, like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. Sometimes it works out. And if for those of you who it works out for, God bless you. But you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable sometimes in order to really make something happen. Like, let's say, you want to make some eggs. I mean, if you want to scramble some eggs, you want to make eggs, you got to break eggs, or whatever the damn saying is, right?
You got to break some shells.
Yeah, you got to,
hey,
sometimes you just got to go.
Yeah.
And, like, I know that time is faster approaching. Like, I've put in so much legwork over the past, like, it's April now. So I'm coming up on a year. Yeah, I'm coming up on a year of, like, constant legwork, constantly pushing the envelope, constantly expanding. I hate to use the word network, but just constantly. I mean, when we first started the show, that night we met at a cigar shop, and we thought, okay, well, who are we going to have on the show? And we both said, well, let's go through our phones. And we started from there. And, God bless this opportunity to show us, provide us for us to meet people from completely different walks of life. And lo and behold, we've met people who are kind of interested in doing the same things that we're doing, and now I'm working with them. Right. And everyone speaks the same language. And so, first nugget, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's not going to be 100% perfect. It just, and if the good Lord steps in and sets you up to where it is fail-safe, great. Enjoy it, say thank you. But get comfortable being uncomfortable, and then whatever it is you really got your mindset on, step on the gas. Like, just go. Like, part of it sounds like, man, that's half-cocked, unprepared. But if you know, like, in your spirit, like, in your heart of hearts, like, in your gut, like, I want to do X, Y, Z, go. Just go. Start the car and just step on the gas, man. Like, just fucking go. And that's where I'm at with it right now. Just go.
Yeah.
It's really, that's probably the two biggest nuggets I got right now, because I'm literally in the throes of it. This stuff that I got going on or whatnot, just from a perspective of like, man, I talked to this person today, or lo and behold, I get I'm in real estate, right? For people, I'm in real estate, so we don't, us as black people, we don't answer the phone numbers we don't recognize. I do. And I answered the phone for a number I didn't recognize the other day, and it's probably going to change my life here in like another 20, 30 days. So it's really, if you want to make cigar cases, if you want to build cars, if you want to be the best audio visual guy, I don't care, whatever your dream or passion or pursuit, whatever that is, if you know in your heart of heart that you are willing to give to the nth degree to make that happen, go.
All right,
Go.
so let me challenge you then.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have found your passion.
Oh, my gosh.
You believe that you have found what you have been put on this earth for. What about those that don't know, but know that I'm not designed to be at this particular 9 to 5?
Okay, take a step back and ask yourself, okay, what are two or three of my best skill sets? What am I good at? Because the thing is, a lot of people's like, okay, I do what I know, right? Well, it's one thing to know something, but it's another thing to be like passionate about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you can get a whole lot done when you're gung-ho for everything that comes your way, and it's in line with what you're passionate about. I mean, we know plenty of people who like they know A through Z about this, but they don't love it. We see them all the time, be like, hey man, whatever. But then we talk to them offline, and they're really passionate about this. We're like, man, what if that dude put all the energy into what he really, really likes? He'd be a monster. And so if you're stuck and you're not quite sure exactly what it is you want to do, what your next step is, take a step back and ask yourself, okay, what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? And let's say if you find your passion, you never work a day in your life. Sometimes it can be that simple, but I would say take a step back and do like a real like self-inventory and ask yourself like, okay, I want to do this. And then really ask yourself like, am I willing to take whatever necessary steps in order to get to what it is I want to do? Like you might say, okay, I want to be an electrician. All right, cool. Well, you're going to get some type of certification. All right, cool. Yeah, you got to go to some type of school. Or in the meantime, are you willing to learn at the foot of a professional? Are you willing to, as I say all the time, put your hands in the dirt and really get down there and get your hands dirty and learn it from step A all the way to Z? Are you willing to do that? If you are, great. If you're not willing to truly dedicate yourself to whatever that direction or passion is, you got to figure out what you are willing to dedicate yourself to, and then work your way from there.
How much or how important is it to have, because your lovely wife has been tremendously supportive on every front. How important is it to have good tent poles, that are supporting you in the background?
It's paramount, right? Like, I mean, I'm a few weeks off of a birthday.
Shout out to Tam.
Shout out to my beautiful wife, Tamara, who has been amazing as I'm working on this transition, right? It's paramount, right? Like, anybody who's in a healthy and successful marriage like knows that they can depend on their partner, right? Or at the very least, you can, when you got something in your head, you got to kind of get it out. Like you got a sounding board who somebody kind of help you kind of untangle it, if you will. Now that said, if you're in a situation where it's just you, well, hell, if it's just you, and all you got to depend on is you, I would say you should be going 1,000 miles an hour, not 100 miles, because ain't nobody else. There's nobody else depending on you. There's nobody to disappoint. So ultimately, it's on you. It really is on you at the end of the day. So bet on yourself and go. Bet on yourself and go. What's the worst that can possibly happen?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
People like, oh, well, what if I get fired from a job? Hey, man, you work long enough, you get fired from a job. The sun comes up the next day. The sun comes up the next day. You'll see them same people on LinkedIn. You'll see a job. Who cares? Who cares? Like, honestly, like, who cares? Like, if that's the worst that can happen, they can fire you. So what? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not ideal, but so what? So what? Like, if you got that job, you can get another job. And it might not necessarily be exactly what you want to be doing at that moment in time, but it gets better. The sun comes up. Like, you got to push forward. And like I said, if you have truly discovered something that you are thoroughly passionate about, man, look, you might want to be an event planner. Cool. Find out who the biggest event planner is in your area, or who somebody that you trust to know that they understand how to do things the right way business-wise, and get next to them and say, look, here's what I'm trying to get done. And you always say, what value do you bring to the table? Figure out a way to where, like, they say, okay, you can come rock with me and I'm going to show you. Like, it's go time, right? Like, it's go time. Like, it's 2022, still got a damn war going on. I mean, like, conflict, yeah, whatever you want to call it. Like, people are literally making their dreams and aspirations come true on a daily basis. So when you discover what it is that you really, really want to do, what you are truly passionate about, I ain't talking about like, oh, I just happen to be good at this. Like, no. What do you care about? What do you care about? What would you wake up and enjoy doing every day, whether they paid you for it or not? Right? Like, we look, football players, like the dudes who are really, really good, them dudes who do that stuff, they would do it for free because they enjoy the competition, they enjoy the confrontation, they enjoy the process of it all that much. Obviously they get paid millions of dollars and that's great. But some of the dudes do it for free because they love it that much. And so you really got to find your niche, but find what it is that motivates you internally, that makes you just want to say, yeah, I'm going to kick ass at that every day and go in that direction.
So you got involved in real estate.
Thanks to you.
No doubt. What was it about real estate that made this your passion?
Because I can talk to anybody. Like, I can have a conversation. I fear nothing. And so I've been in enough situations now over the past, I've been in enough situations now, probably like over the past 18 months. Let's see, pandemic was what, 2020? Yeah, 2020. So really, September of 2020. Since then, I've been in enough situations and been able to handle myself with those so-called experts and people who have got years and years and years of experience on me and handle myself quite well to the point to where they're like, hey, why don't you just come work for us, right? And so, real estate, connections and relationships and networks and all that stuff. But there's a part of it, too, it also comes back, like, how hard do you hustle? Like, how hard are you willing to work? Like, I've been in some of the biggest firms in DFW, and like they live in like one guy straight up told me, he said, look, man, I know we were here to talk about something else. He was like, I'm not even trying to sell you on my company. He's like, but I need somebody like you in my building. He's like, why don't you just come work here? I said, well, make me an offer. And, they made an offer, and there might be a time where I decide to, pick that conversation back up, but I can still talk to him or whatnot. And so, we ain't afraid of work. And so I think my skill set of me being able to speak with anybody, to have a legitimate conversation, I fear nothing. And I just understand it. Like, I understand, I'm plugged into what the hell's going on, but I just understand. I understand dirt, for lack of a better term. I really have an understanding of dirt, the value of it, what's going to happen, what can happen, and then from a buyer's perspective, what pain points do they have to negotiate. And so I understand, like, hey, if I can clear this hurdle out of the way, I'm going to make it that much easier on you to spend that money. And so I think, like I said, you gave me the bug, and lo and behold, 2 years later, here we go.
Yeah. Hey, you talked about a network, and I want to get into that, and we talked a little bit about, a support system. One of the businesses that's been supporting us since day one is Ed Bueno Brown over at Blowin Smoke. Here's a quick word from EB.
Hey everyone, Edwina Brown here, owner-operator of Blowin Smoke Cigar Lounge. We're located at 1604 North Interstate 35E in Lancaster, Texas. We would love for you to come see us. We stand on the 3 C's, which are cigars, our community, and our culture. Cigars, we have over 300 SKUs in our humidor, and it's still growing. Come check it out, a massive humidor. We also love our culture here, which we're about customer service, as well as community, which is why we're excited to partner with the Vision Lab podcast. So come check us out.
All right, so shout out to EB, shout out to Jacoby, shout out to the whole staff over at Blowin Smoke. We love you. Thanks for all that you guys have done for us. So since we're talking about like networks and support systems, I'm curious, since you're in this and now things are starting to really open up, how important has networking been within your process?
Monumental. It's been monumental. I think one of the reasons why, like when I go and talk to people and they say, well, why don't you come work here? Because one of the big things in real estate, people always talk about pipeline and stuff like that. They realize like, well, we don't have to do much of this guy because he comes in with his own pipeline. So the normal ramp up time or the normal amount of time they would have to invest in a regular person, they don't have to do it with me. Like, honestly, man, I just hey, give me your company issued laptop and whatever, paperwork platform you use and let me go. I got everything else. And so network wise, it's paramount. I mean, again, whether it's real estate, cigars, being a lawyer, being a doctor, whatever it is you're into, like there's somebody who is above you on the totem pole. And it's not even about like quote unquote befriending them, but be smart enough to understand that you're around somebody who knows more than you.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's best to shut up and listen. Other times ask questions or really like be a sponge. Really be a sponge, understand that like, hey, I'm working on trying to get to a certain place on the totem pole, but be humble enough to understand that like I ain't there yet, but Lord knows I'm working on it.
And I think
somebody will see that.
That's a very, very good point. A lot of people want to fake it till you make it, which is cool, but also understand that, you know what, I don't know everything. So it's okay for me to ask you questions about how to get where I want to go, because clearly you've done that, or you've been in my seat or my shoes before. So I think a lot of times people don't think about or don't realize that it's okay not to be the smartest person or the best looking or the strongest or whatever, because you're working towards a specific goal that you're trying to achieve.
We are all a work in progress.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I used to work in the same field, and we all know there's no such thing as an expert. Nobody knows everything. And the stuff we used to do, like the technology is evolving too fast. Nobody knows everything. If they tell you they do, they're lying. And so to really like hammer down on your question in regards to networking and just like understand what role you play in the room. Understand who you're in the room with. Understand when it is your time to speak, right? Because yes, there's a time for you to be quiet, but also you don't get lost in the shuffle either. Like you need to make sure that you're very direct in regards to what value you are providing in whatever meeting setting that is. Like, hey, I'm here because I do this, and you need to hammer home why whatever it is that you do is pertinent to whatever we're trying to get accomplished. Like if we got a goal as a collective. This person plays this role. This person plays this role. Well, I play this role. I'm good at this. And here's why it's important. You need to hammer that home.
No, it's important for you to know exactly what you bring to the table, right? Now that you're at this point, how have you balanced professional life, family life, what you're passionate about, being a father, being a husband? Like, how do you balance all that? How do you juggle all of that?
Ain't no such thing as balance. It's juggle. Like I said, I'm a few weeks off of a birthday. My wife made me shut down. My birthday was on a Friday. My wife came up to the office upstairs and basically made me turn off everything. She's like, turn it off. We're out of here. And so she, for a good 2.5 days, somehow, some way, my wife managed to accomplish the fact of I turned my brain off for about 2.5 days in regards to real estate and all the stuff that we're working on. Like, somehow she managed to, I got a pedicure. She made me go to a spa.
Is that your first time?
First time.
Really?
Like, first time. Like they put the little the little shiny stuff on my toes, lady buff my feet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
First time ever. And that was probably part of the process in regards to like really making me take a beat and take a step back. On the fatherhood side, I mean, we both got girls. Like, my daughter does something every day that makes me not care about the outside world. Like, literally, I could be having a terrible day at work. I could have a good day at work. She does something every day that makes everything else null and void. Like, I don't care. I don't care because she just did something amazing because she's brilliant and she's showing herself to be a little bit too brilliant from time to time, if you know what I mean. And so fatherhood, I think, I don't even call it easy, but it's just one, especially when you got little kids, like, they're harmless. They don't have a mean spirit about them. Like, all they care about is playtime with you as their parent. Your work day, they're not even cognizant of that.
No clue.
They have no clue. Like, they just know, like, hey, give me my grilled cheese sandwich and let's go play.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I balance that.
But when do you actually go in your lab and get work done for your no disrespect, but we'll call it a side hustle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing that you're trying to get off the ground. When do you actually dive in on that?
Early in the morning and late at night, when we either early in the morning before the rest of my house wakes up, or late at night when everyone else goes to sleep. And in the meantime, throughout my work day, if I catch a 45-minute window where I'm in between meetings or whatnot, or I get a task knocked down, you better believe I'm making a phone call, sending an email, setting an appointment for something else. I'm on it. I'm on it. Like, truth be told, like, people always ask, well, what do you do? Well, the real question is, what don't I do? Mm-hmm. That's the real question. What don't I do? I'm part of a podcast. I got my real estate thing going. Currently still got a day job. Like, it is what it is. Like, I think, we're in this microwave society, right? And people are like, oh, I can go make a YouTube video. And, man, look, it's in the work. I don't care what nobody says. It's in the work. Like, if you're blessed enough to get a lottery ticket and you just hit it big first time out, kudos to you. But it's in the work. Like, I've spent close to a year really, like, cultivating and planting and watering and seeds in the ground, if you will. And it's really looking like they're about to, like, really start sprouting. And I've worked my tail off for it. Like, I've expanded, like, in so many different areas as a person, and just from a growth standpoint, you got to do the work. You got to do the work. Like I said, I'm not. If you hit it big first time out, I ain't mad at you. Kudos to you. Hey, salute. But you want something long lasting, and what I'm trying to get done, you got to put the work in.
So I'm big on mindset. For those that are tuning in for the first time, thank you so much. Hopefully you're enjoying the content that you heard, and we're just chopping it up. Mo's on the brink of doing some amazing things, and so we just wanted to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and let people hear it. So if you like the content that you've heard thus far, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the Vision Lab podcast. What I'm curious to know is, as you approach this
The transition.
a transitional season, what are you most proud of that you've been able to accomplish or are on the brink of accomplishing?
So let's see here. My daughter was born in 2018. From 2018 to present day, I have experienced a ton of ups and downs. Like, people talk about peaks and valleys. I have lived through it. I mean, hell, I've been fired from a job, and whatever. Hey, I've got experience. I've been fired from a job. Trust me, it's okay. The sun comes up the next day. You'll be fine. Okay, trust me. I've lost my dad. I lost my father-in-law. I lost a brother-in-law. I've seen some stuff in the past close to 4 years of my life. I had a cousin who was murdered. 6 days after my dad passed away. Like, I remember my dad died on the 17th of my dad passed away on September 17th of 2019. At the time, my employer, they were great. Like, hey, take all the time you need. We're here for you. Whatever you need, just let us know. A few days off work, like, okay, my life is different now. And literally, the day I went back to work, I'm getting ready to walk into the office, and my mom called and said, hey, your cousin was murdered last night. And I remember looking at the front door of the office like, I'm about to turn right back around. Like, hey, so I remember going into my boss and saying, look, I know I was supposed to come back to work today, but this just happened. You can look it up on the news. Like, lo and behold, hey, man, me and him are related. Everybody don't know that. I'm out. And so, yeah, like I've been through a lot in the past almost 4 years, both personally and professionally. So, again, the sun rises. It gets better. I think to really answer your question, don't flinch. Do not flinch. I told my wife when we got married, we don't fold, and we don't fold, period. Like, whatever happens, like, come bring it. Like, we're not folding. I'm going forward. Like, hey, man, shit happens. Shit happens sometimes, but there is no alternative except for we're going forward. Don't get me wrong, like, we're human, right? Like, you can, lick your wounds. Hey, man, I lost my dad, who, the old folks tell us, like, you'll get it when you're older and whatnot. A lot of the stuff that he did, now that I'm a little bit older, like, I understand it. Excuse me. I understand his mindset, right? And so, and then, so funny. So my dad passes away on September 17th. My father-in-law, coincidentally, September 17th is his birthday. So I had to call my father-in-law and be like, hey, your counterpart died on your birthday.
Yeah.
Fast forward 11 months later, my father-in-law passes away on my parents' wedding anniversary. How weird is that?
Yeah.
And those two were joined at the hip. Like, those two spoke each other's languages, right? And so I would say peaks and valleys. Like, we've interviewed a ton of people on this show who have been through, like, some real personal stuff, right? Whatever it is you're dealing with, visionaries, man, don't flinch. Don't get me wrong. We all take blows. You all take a hit in life. Like, that's the game of life. Like, eventually you're gonna get hit, right? Like, nobody gets through life unscathed. Like, even Floyd Mayweather been hit in the face pretty hard, right?
Right.
Tyson have been knocked out, but you can't flinch. You cannot fold. There is no such thing as quit. We ain't giving up. You push forward. Period.
So that's been the biggest lesson that you've learned.
Oh man, that, like, you can survive. You can survive it. You can survive it. The interesting part about it is, like, when you get fired from a job, sometimes you quit on them before they quit on you.
Uh-huh.
And so I remember one time I got fired from a job. They called me in the office, like, I already knew what was happening or whatever. And the lady, like, they were, only black dude in the building. So, of course, they were kind of like, oh, what the hell's going to happen? I remember looking at their faces. They were like, you can feel the tension in the room. Like, man, is he about to get upset? And the lady was like, we're so sorry. We had to terminate you, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, hey, we just want to confirm your address to make sure we get all your stuff. I was like, oh, don't even worry about it. So I cleaned my desk out 2 weeks ago. Like, hey, honestly, like, whatever, I'll sign your paperwork, no problem. Just let me go get my personal notebook off my desk and, like, my personal items, and we're good. And the look on their face was like, I was like, hey, like, no, it's okay. It's no. In my head, I was like, hey, don't be scared, white people. Don't be scared. Like, I'm the only black dude in this building in the middle of downtown. Like, I understand, like, if I really, like, get upset, y'all can probably call the police in here. Like,
yeah.
I get it. Substation ain't far away. Like, whatever. So, yeah, like, it's people say, like, I'm a survivor and all that stuff. Man, look, I'm not folding. I'm not quitting. I know exactly what it is I'm about to do. I know exactly what it is I'm working towards and the steps I'm willing to take to get there. So once you figure that out, everything else, man, be damn. Go 100 miles an hour after it.
So, like I was saying, I'm big into, like, mindset, mentality. How much has learning about growth mindset helped you get to this point, or within this transitional period?
It's helped a lot. I think the biggest thing is, like, the word growth, right?
Yeah.
Like, ultimately, like, we're not completely in control of what we're going to do and what life's going to throw at us. So something happens, like, well, you got a choice. Either you're going to ball up and call it a day, or you're going to fight it and figure out a way to grow from it. Like we talk about all the time. Like, you go work out, reps 1 through 5, you don't get better, you don't get stronger, you don't grow reps 1 through 5. You grow reps like 10, 11, 12 through 15.
During the struggle.
Yeah, in the struggle. That's where you grow in the struggle. And so, it's really, from a growth mindset standpoint, I think I already had some of those tenets, but when stuff has happened, I think I've been able to really.
You can categorize it and say, "Oh, I remember this."
Yeah, I've been able to look back and say, "Oh, okay, cool." I mean, like when my dad passed away like that, I've been heartbroken a couple times in my life. When my grandmother passed away, like I am forever different. The day she passed, it was forever different. And then when he passed too, like that changed me. I don't know, good way back. I don't know, but it changed me. Like if you were lucky enough to have a true relationship with your dad, when they're gone, and it changes you. And so, from a growth mindset standpoint, folding up shop was never an option.
Right.
It was never an option. And then even my father-in-law passed, and watching my wife and her family kind of go through it. My dad and her dad both passed, diabetes complications or whatever. But we talk about growth mindset and really I'm never giving in. At one point, my father-in-law had a diabetic seizure. Yeah, he had a diabetic seizure, and so he was in his house. Lucky enough, my brother-in-law was there, but when he came back too, the paramedics were in the house, and the first thing he thought of when he came back too, he told my brother-in-law, he's like, "Hey, get these people out of my house." Dude, I'm literally coming out of a diabetic seizure. He came back too, and he just get them out of my house. I'm not, forget my health. No, I live here. You don't belong here. And so there's a never giving in quotient or element to myself that I've really been able to tap into.
Shout out for you using the word quotient.
Hey, well, Jay Scott uses words like rubric and all the other stuff in other meetings and whatnot. But yeah, man, it's you really do have to have a never say die attitude, a true I'm not folding, I'm not quitting. No, you really kind of have to adopt some of this stuff.
All right, so I really want to test the limits on this one, right?
Proceed.
So people have an opportunity to listen to our catalog, and we hear the same things over and over and over again because they're true.
Absolutely.
Right? There's a ton of merit to what people are saying throughout our interviews. What's one thing that people haven't ever heard about on our show that maybe you can enlighten them on as you are knocking on the door to this transitional phase in your life?
One thing they haven't heard. It's a good question.
I'm going to bring some good questions on the show.
Question. That's one thing they haven't heard in 150 episodes. That even in the midst of your fight and your journey and your push for whatever it is you're trying to get done, it's okay to have a moment to be like, damn, I don't know if this is going to work. It's okay to have a moment to yourself when no one else is around and be like, man, I'm doing everything I know to do, and today might just not have been the day, but it's okay to have that moment. Don't stay in it, but it's okay to have that moment.
Yeah.
I've had that moment on jobs before. I looked up I have done every single thing
Yes,
that
sir.
I know to do.
Yes, sir.
In the right direction.
Yes, sir.
And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. I had to give a report for my job a couple weeks ago. I had to give a presentation. Knocked it out the park. Literally killed it. Boss,
Right.
during the presentation, my boss hit me on Slack and was like, "This is awesome, great job." I'm in the middle of the presentation. But 2 weeks before that, I literally followed the exact same process and shit the bed. And so you're gonna have days where you're gonna look up and be like, man, I don't even know. I'm a huge Nipsey Hussle fan, and there's a clip from one of his interviews he did, and he's like, I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I had the ultimate poise throughout my process. Every day I knew this was about to happen.
That's good.
He's like, I just didn't quit. He's like, there are some days where man, is this gonna happen? His whole thing was all money in. He really was. My thing is I love getting out the mud. He literally financed himself, did this on his own with the help of his team, obviously. But it's okay to have a day where you're like, man, I ain't got it today. It's okay to have one of them days.
We talked about this before the show started.
It's okay to have one of them a day or two. You're like, man, I don't know. Somebody asks you, man, I don't know today. I ain't got it today. It's okay to have that. You don't stay there, But when it's looking at you in the face, don't run from it. Own it, admit it, and then, okay, what am I going to do to be better about it tomorrow?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Because I think a lot of times people think that if you're on camera, if you're a celebrity, if you're financially successful, that you never went through a difficult situation while you're in the middle of it, right? Like that happens, and sometimes you're not the best version of yourself. And I think people need to hear that.
Yeah.
Just don't wallow in it. Don't stay in it. Don't be that person forever. Be in the moment and then move on.
What's the saying? You're either heading into a storm, you're in a storm, or you're just getting out of one. Sometimes, like when you're really trying to make something happen. I mean, I started this whole year. I told you I said uncharted territory. We talked to Mike Cook at the end of 2021. I'm trying to get to uncharted territory. I'm trying to get to somewhere that nobody I know directly that is a direct descendant of my bloodline. I'm trying to get somewhere where no man has gone before. So I am literally I am working in uncharted territory. There's no roadmap for me in regard to this, what I'm trying to get done. Like I can't pick up the phone and call somebody who I'm directly related to, or that has shared the exact same experiences as me growing up. There's nobody I can call that can say, hey man, do X, Y, Z. Some stuff you just got to learn as it comes to you. Now you're gonna be some bumps in the road, but when you're trying to do something that's never been done before, that's the cost of it.
Yeah.
That's the cost.
So, and I think that's an important piece too that you just touched on, is that you know what your carrot is. You know it's the carrot dangling
Absolutely.
in front of you.
Absolutely.
And that carrot doesn't ever change.
Correct. And the cool part about it is when you realize you're on the right track, then at that point you ain't even worry about the carrot. You're just like, all right, I know. Okay, target identified. Here we go. And at that point, you don't even worry about you focus on the process. You focus on the process of, okay, in order to get from A to D, I'm going to knock out B and C.
Yeah.
If I knock out B and C, D will take care of itself.
That's right. So how important is it for somebody, if they're just now hearing this episode, never really know much about our show, how important is it for them to get into their lab to establish where they are in terms of A, and if they're trying to get to D, what B and C need to be, what items need to be knocked out in B and C to get to D?
It's essential. It's paramount. It is beyond important, because ultimately, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, you're going to have to find some time to sit down and really, really like map it out. Like anybody who's ever seen us in public knows this book goes everywhere with me. And this is the third book of the Vision Lab podcast. And this one's got a bunch of real estate stuff in, but this book goes everywhere with me. Like everywhere I go, this book goes too. And so, I mean, there, our release schedules in here, our recording schedules in here, episode summaries, real estate stuff that you and I are working on. I mean, like you gotta. You might be a single mom, and you might get 30 minutes at the end of the night when the kids are asleep, and you finally got a minute to yourself. Take 10 of them minutes and write down in the book what you want to get done.
Yes, sir.
Or when you go take a bath when the kids are done, get on your phone and pipe in your notes what it is you're trying to accomplish or whatever. But you got to take some type of forward motion every single day towards whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Some days you might take one step. Some days you might take 10. But you got to take some type of forward motion every day if possible.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, I know you and I talked about revenue-generating activities.
Yep.
But just from a holistic perspective on completing tasks. We talked about writing things down in the book. At the end of the night, like, hey, here are the 10 things that I need to do for the following day. Is that something that you're doing? Kind of talk to us about that.
When the year started, I said, okay, every day you're going to journal what steps you took forward today. When your work day's over with, you're going to go back and recap, okay, you did 5 things today that moved forward, or you did 10, whatever it is. I couldn't keep up. I got to about January the 15th. Couldn't keep up. Because I found myself, every time I caught a free minute, I was doing something to move the ball forward. Like every single free moment I caught, boom, I was on it. I've had many nights where I'm up at 2:30, 3 o'clock writing in this book or reading something or getting more information on something that is going to lead me to my ultimate goal. People's like, well, when do you sleep? I don't. Like I'm honestly, I'm doing good to be in bed by 12:30, 1 o'clock on a daily basis. Like a Tuesday night, I'm up till 1 o'clock in the morning. Period.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, and I'm the first one up in my house every morning except for Sundays.
So let's flip it then, and let me ask you this. So we have tasks that need to complete. How do people avoid getting stuck on just completing one task?
Trust your work. Like, one of the things I know I can be guilty of is like, you can give me a task and I can get it, knock out the park the first time. But there's also this anal part of me where, in my effort to make sure everything is exactly right or as close to on the money as possible, I can get bogged down in something. Now, I'm to the point now where I'll notice it and I can pull myself out of there. But like, if you've known that you've done the work to get something done, like whether it's a small task or a big task, like trust your work, knock it out, check it off, move to the next task. Because ultimately you can't afford to get too bogged down in it anyway because you put yourself behind.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, what else you want to talk about, P?
Man, I told you my spirit was full, bro. Like I said, it's I know the transition is coming. I honestly, like I pray for a peaceful and as seamless transition as possible, right? Because nobody wants to hit the ground. Like, you don't want to hurt on as you make this move. Now, if it gets to that point, and I'm prepared to go through it because I've literally sat and prayed and wrote about like this is what I want to do. This is what I know I'm good at. I've made too many connections to where it's like I'd be a fool to turn around. What did Nipsey say? Like, you start off on a task, and you might get 25% of the way there and people quit. But you gotta be real. You gotta realize you're 25% of the way there. You're 25% ahead of where you started. Perspective, right?
It's a big word right there.
Read the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yes,
It's
sir.
about the man digging for gold, and
2 feet away.
he made all kind of headway and quit like what 3 feet or whatever. He quit like 3 feet away from striking gold. The next dude showed up and bam, like, you gotta go. Like, you have to exhaust all avenues. Now, you get to a point you exhaust all avenues, and it really does come to a point to where it's like, all right, this just ain't gonna work. All right, it ain't gonna work, but you tried. And guess what? The sun will rise the next day. The sun will rise the next day. Period.
All sage advice. I think a lot of times you're in the throes of whatever passion or pursuit of your passion that you're in, and it's easy to get discouraged and stick on one task or overthink something and not make a move. But at the end of the day, it's always about putting in the work, taking the action, completing the task to hold yourself accountable, keeping a positive mentality and a growth mentality versus a fixed mindset, having a supportive construct, whether that be your support system, whether that's your family or financially or whatever, but having a support system in place, not turning back at the first sight of trouble.
Oh, no.
And persevering.
No.
Right?
Let me tell you about, you use the word discouraged.
Yeah.
Leading into between Thanksgiving and Christmas break, and I told you about this. I work in real estate. My name was on a piece of paper. It was like NFL contract money on that bad boy. There was a lot of money on that piece of paper, and my name was right next to it. Right next to it. And I thought, I'm going to get a percentage of that. Everything else that I want to do, like here we go. All parties involved agreed on the money in regards to the real estate transaction. But the deal fell apart because we could not agree on closing terms, which I'm not going to say is a rarity in real estate, but for the most part, you tell people working in real estate, once you agree on the money part, most of the time you can usually get the other stuff worked out. But this deal fell apart because they could not agree on closing terms. For whatever reason, everyone has their reasons, right? So when you talk about the word discouraged, I'm looking at this every day like, okay, look, man, we've agreed on the money. Like, I'm trying to get both sides. Like, hey, everyone, come to your senses. Like, let's meet in the middle here, right? Like, let's put some extensions in. Like, let's figure this out because you've agreed on the money. Like, it'd be one thing if the guy said, "Look, man, I want $10 million for this piece of property," and they're like, "We'll give you 2." You can't do anything about that. But when people agree on the money, that deal's got to get done. But for whatever reason, this deal didn't get done. If there was ever a time to be discouraged, that'd have been it.
Right.
That'd have been it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Because now I'm working on projects that are essentially 10 times worth that amount of money. And if I'd have stopped then, I mean, what I got my hands on now, well, it'd have never happened. It'd have never happened. So no, as they say in church, be encouraged. but man, you know, you do not quit. You do not stop. If it's in your heart of hearts, if it's really in your soul, like I'm gonna do this, man, you just gotta go. You gotta go. Period.
I can dig it, bro. I can dig it. Well, yo, I'm tremendously proud of you.
I appreciate it, sir.
And I've seen the whole transition from the very beginning of the real estate bug hitting you to where you are right now. So it is encouraging to see someone that you're very close with put the work in and then see it start to come into fruition. So I'm tremendously proud of you and happy for you. Any other sage or sound advice that you can provide to all of our visionaries that are tuning in?
Not sage advice, but June 11th, we are throwing a golf tournament at the Dallas Golf Club.
Yes, sir. Third annual
Vision Lab Podcast Golf Classic.
Yes.
Look, we're going to talk to some of y'all. Look, those of you who have already committed to being sponsors, thank you to Jay Davis at Blue Smoke of Dallas. Thank you to G at Denton Cigar Company. Thank you to everyone else who's already agreed to be a part of it. We appreciate you so much, whether you donated an item, put your money on the table, or raising money to fight cancer, right? Like, literally, the money's going to the North Texas Leukemia Lymphoma Society and the Alzheimer's Foundation, right? I said that right?
Alzheimer's Association.
The Alzheimer's Association, excuse me. So when we reach out to you, like, this money ain't going to us. This money's going to fight cancer.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to fight cancer to make sure you have a good time at the golf course and you get out there and network, do your thing on the golf course, smoke cigars, eat barbecue, have a good time.
It's the best of all worlds, right?
Absolutely,
Golf,
100%.
barbecue, networking.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, we reach out to you like this isn't for like this ain't to put money in TVLP's pocket. Like, we don't sell a product here. So reach to your pocket, donate money to fight cancer. Like, I don't care if it's $10. Like, do something. Do something.
Yeah, we're tremendously excited. You know, we're about 2 months out. So June 11th at 8:30 at the Dallas Golf Club, we're doing our third annual Vision Lab Podcast Golf Classic. Funds go back to support and raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of North Texas, as well as the Alzheimer's Association of Greater Dallas. Both of those are very near and dear to me. Lost both of my grandparents to those horrific diseases, and so we're just trying to raise money to fight these cancers and you know, just keep people alive a little bit longer for them to be with their loved ones. So big shout out to you for that. You know, really excited for the third annual Golf Classic. It's gonna be dope.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is.
So other than that, P, I think it's time to land the plane.
By all means, feel free to ask away. I still got more in me.
What you got?
I mean, we went 5 and 5.
Nah, we already done 5 and 5.
Round table.
I've already done round table.
Okay. At some point, you're going to be on the other end of one of these.
Never afraid.
Come on now. What do you foresee happening in the next few months for you?
For me, not a cataclysmic shift or change, but the core tenets that I need to be in place, my backstop, all that will be established. And my idea is to create the capital that I need to move the way that I want to move. And it's coming. So I have a vision that's more so for 2023, but obviously there's legwork that has to be done this year as I continue to plant more seeds on fertile ground for that to be recognized. So we're going to get a couple projects done 2022.
Amen.
We've got 2 that we're a part of right now. I got a third one that we're working on that should be done, and then hopefully 2 more from on my personal side of things, and then maybe 4 to 6 more with on a conglomerate basis.
Come on now.
But
yeah, I like that word.
more experience, I think, is where I'm at from my real estate and investing side of things. So it's not as glamorous, but it's just doing the work. It's setting up those tent poles.
Oh, doing the work ain't glamorous. Like if you're in it, whatever it is you're trying to do, if you're in it for glamour, it ain't gonna last. You got to really enjoy it. You got to really enjoy it. Hey, we know plenty of professional athletes, and we know the dudes have spent hours, days, weeks, segments of their lives in weight rooms and on tracks where ain't nobody looking. It ain't glamorous.
Yeah.
We just see the finished product, but it ain't glamorous.
And I think for me, it's continuing to focus on my health and reaching the targets that I've set out for myself. And then obviously getting those tent poles set up in a manner that's going to not only allow me to move fast, but also move more efficiently.
Or correctly.
And correctly.
I once saw Rick Ross said I saw on the thing. He said, I'm not worried about moving fast. I just want to move correctly. He's like, if it takes us a year to get something done, cool. It takes us a year. I just don't want to waste no time.
Yeah, that's good.
He's like, if it takes us 10 years to do something, cool. He's like, I just don't want to waste no time.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. I'm just getting things established and set up so that it's almost like it's an automation, right, where it's automatically just going. But we're close on a couple things. I would say in about 3 months or less, we'll have a different arm of revenue.
Come on now.
So I'm excited about that. I won't unveil that just yet. But yeah, we're getting really, really close. Right now is a really crazy time. The way the market's going from inflation as well as interest rates rising. So that certainly has a factor in all of it. But you got to be able, and we've heard this numerous times, right? You have to be able to pivot, and I've got a pivot already in place, and I'm really excited about it. We just need to get a little bit more capital to go ahead and execute on that that plan. So
absolutely.
I'd say by the time I would say the 4th of July that we should have an additional stream of revenue that's been started.
I like it. I told you I was full, Chief. I told you I was full.
Come on.
No, it's good, man. It's I feel better now. Like I walked in today and was like, hey, let's just go. Let's just go.
Yeah.
I feel good. Shout out to us again, number 150. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Who'd have thought a phone call at the end of 2018 would turn 150 episodes?
And more.
Yes. Absolutely. You're damn right. Absolutely it is. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and allowing me to tell you what's going on with me personally. Thank you guys for following the show. Thank you for your downloads, your streams, plays, listen, all the different ways you interact with us, the DMs, all the brands who've been on the show with us up to this point. We are not stopping. We appreciate you guys 1,000%. And we'll see you guys next week on another great episode of the Vision Lab Podcast.
Blessings.